Welcome to our final lesson, which covers chapters 10 and 11 of the text. Chapter 10 discusses relevant costs and decision making. Chapter 11 looks at the capital budgeting decisions. We begin with chapter 10. Every decision involves two or more alternative choices. Relevant costs and revenues are only those that differ between the alternatives. Costs and benefits not affected by the choice can be ignored. Sunk costs are always irrelevant. An example would be the decision to drop production of a product or continue to make and sell it. Here we focus on only the costs and benefits affected by dropping the line compared with keeping it in place. Although most of the other costs and benefits are irrelevant, we should take note of joint costs shared by other products that might be affected by the decision. These are called common fixed costs and should enter into the decision. By removing all of the irrelevant costs and benefits, we simplify the decision-making process. When preparing the analysis, we list the alternatives and all of the relevant costs and benefits of each. Sunk costs, like depreciation of old equipment, should be ignored. Similarly, the decision to accept or reject a special order can be analyzed using the same methods. Likewise, when a bottleneck exists that affects two products, we would favor the one with the larger contribution margin per unit until the bottleneck can be eliminated. This involves effectively managing the constrained resource until more of that resource can be obtained. The cost of relaxing the constraint should be compared with the benefits of increased production by measuring the contribution margin to the value of obtaining more of the constrained resource. Joint products often have common costs until a split-off point. In this case, we look only at the incremental costs and benefits of joint production to evaluate the effects on profits. In Chapter 11, we introduce the analysis of capital budgeting decisions. Typical decisions would be one of these, for instance. Should we purchase new equipment to reduce costs? Or two, should we expand the existing plant size or open a second facility? Three, which equipment should we buy if more than one brand is available? Four, could we lease instead of buying equipment? And five, when should we replace old equipment? All capital decisions that businesses engage in on a regular basis. First, we make a screening decision. This is based on whether the decision passes a present hurdle. For example, does it meet the minimum expected rate of return, for instance? Secondly, is the preference decision in which we choose among several acceptable alternatives. Since capital investments usually earn over extended periods of time, we should take into account the time value of money that they will earn. This means that future cash flows from the decision should be discounted to present values before making the decision. When calculating these present values, we should use the company's cost of capital as the minimum required rate of return. This cost is sometimes referred to as the weighted average cost of capital, or WACC. It is a weighted average of debt and equity costs of money used for investment. Usually a favorable decision occurs when the net present value of the project is a positive number. A negative number indicates that the project does not meet minimum rate of return requirements. When comparing alternative projects, we can simplify the analysis by using the incremental analysis introduced in the previous chapter. A second method of evaluating alternatives is the internal rate of return method, abbreviated IRR. This value is found when the discount rate is such that the present value is zero. Generally, the project with the higher rate of return is the preferred project. Less useful, but much easier to compute, is the payback method. This focuses on the time it takes for a project to break even. The faster the payback, the more preferred the project. The simple rate of return does not involve computing present values of cash flows. When simple to compute, it does not give the best, while it is simple to compute, it does not give the best results. However, for quick, what we call back of the envelope type projections, it can be useful. Whenever a project is adopted, the firm should conduct a post-audit to measure the actual versus the projected or expected results. This helps management to refine the decision-making process. Keep in mind that all assignments and the final exam must be finished by midnight of Sunday next week, following our last class meeting. I will submit your grades within a day or two of that deadline. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I look forward to part 2 of managerial accounting coming up next semester. Thank you.